resort there that I like to visit in Orlando. And I go along with you. I keep you safe. When Pastor Steve asked me to speak this morning, I was trying to think of a way that I could convey what we do with Connellsville Area Christian Ministries with what we can do as a church and as an extension of the church. And the title of my message this morning is Making Disciples. And I want to talk about how the functions of Connellsville Area Christian Ministries actually is a way of making disciples. And we'll talk about that today. But the scripture text that I'm using is Matthew 28:19 through 20. And the word says, "Therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age." The word of God for the people of God.
Thanks be to God.
The United Methodist Church, actually the Western Pennsylvania Conference of the United Methodist Church, is going to be meeting in June. And we meet at Grove City College, and that's our annual conference every year. And the mission of our annual conference is to provide leadership, connection, and resources to make disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world. Now, if we include disciple making in our mission statement, apparently that must be important to us as United Methodists and to us as Christians. Earlier, the junior choir was singing, and the song they sang was "Everybody Ought to Know." And that's basically what disciple making is, just letting people know about Jesus Christ and encouraging them to follow Him. And that song is a lot of truth. And we, as Christians, should be working every day to let people know, to make sure that everyone does know. Making disciples was important to Jesus, too. And today I'd like to talk about how Jesus made disciples and how the work that we do at Community Ministries is a part of that disciple-making process. And I also want to encourage you to be part of that disciple-making process. The scripture that I read is often referred to as the Great Commission. And this is Jesus' final instruction to His followers, and He tells them to go and make disciples. Since He didn't give us a syllabus or a PowerPoint or a lesson guide, for 2,000 years we have been wrestling with the what question of disciple making. What does a disciple need to know? We've tried different things over the years as a church. We've tried Sunday school classes, we've tried small group studies, we've tried different types of curriculum to convey the correct information. We've had varying degrees of success. You know, when I was young, Sunday school was a real strong thing. You know, there were a lot of kids in Sunday school, and I don't think that's as strong as it used to be for some reason. But we've tried different things to help to make disciples. But the reality of it is that Jesus' method of disciple making was focused more on a relationship more than action. And it was less on information and knowledge and more on the how question. How did Jesus make disciples? I want to talk a little bit about what Jesus did and how we can model that. Jesus spent time observing His potential disciples. He actually spent time interacting with potential disciples in a variety of situations before actually tapping them for further development. He wanted to see what they were capable of, and what their strengths were, and what their gifts were. Now, often when we get someone who is new to serve community ministries, we're not quite sure what they're capable of. We know that they can help in some way. But as we work with them, we start to see some strengths that they have and ways that we can use those strengths. And Jesus was doing the same thing with His disciples as He spent time with them. Jesus actually taught discipleship along the way as they were living together. Rather than using a classroom or exercises or books, He actually used nature in place, things such as birds and lilies and farms to actually teach discipleship. Discipleship was actually a natural outgrowth of just hanging out together. Jesus just spent time with them, and they got to know each other. Jesus also put His students into difficult situations to see how they would handle those and to make them stronger. He constantly challenged them to lead beyond what was comfortable for them, beyond their comfort zone. Now, Jesus did not give His students a template to follow, but gave them a mission to complete. Jesus also treated each disciple as an individual. He confronted Peter, he loved John, he challenged Thomas. In his final words on the beach in John 21, he told Peter that everyone has their own individualized path to discipleship. Jesus actually spent 3 years developing 12 men. Apparently, he couldn't come up with a mass program of microwave discipleship. Not only did his program take 3 years with 12 students, but it took 24 hours, 7 days, 365 days a year. Could our struggle to make quality disciples come from focusing so much on what Jesus said that we really miss what Jesus did? Curriculum is easy. Lifelong life relational discipleship is difficult. It's slow. It is frustrating. But in the end, it's the only way to make disciples. Now, I have a question for you this morning. If I told you that I was going to prepare a meal in a crock pot, or I was going to prepare a meal in a microwave, which one would you prefer, the crock pot or the microwave?
Crock pot.
Crock pot. Me too. I use the microwave way too much, but I do prefer the crock pot. The point is, good things take time. And sometimes, in this society that we live in, we want to microwave everything. We want everything to be done really fast. And then we're disappointed that the outcome isn't as good as it should be or what we anticipated it to be. And Jesus actually knew that. Way before there was even a crock pot or a microwave, he knew that good things take time and you can't rush through that process. Jesus was intimately involved in the lives of his disciples as they followed him. His training method was spending time with his disciples. Now, Jesus had no formal training or education. He was his own school and his own curriculum. Now, of course, he was the Son of God, and I'm sure that really gave him an advantage. This is a radical concept for those of us who live in the 21st century. Right now, when we see someone that's called to ministry, we want to send them away for someone else to train them, instead of us spending time and helping to train them. The New Testament model of discipleship was homegrown, it was natural, it was organic. Discipleship happens as people spend time with their spiritual mentor. It's actually about building a relationship. And that's what Jesus did with the disciples. He built a relationship with them. In a similar way, we should be in the lives of people that we are seeking to help. We should schedule time with people who we want to disciple outside of normal church functions. We should schedule times to play and pray and share a meal together with people that we're hoping to take on that journey of discipleship. This means that discipleship will require something of us. Discipleship costs us something. Even for those of us who are called to disciple others, we must sacrifice our time, our energy, our emotion, and this is all invested in others to fulfill the discipleship task of making disciples. It takes time, and we can't microwave or semi-line that process. There's only one way to do it. That's to take time. Now, one of the ways I see Connellsville Area Christian Ministries helping to make disciples is in a ministry that we call Circles. And Circles actually began back in 2014. I just saw my picture up on the screen. It kind of took me from a shot. I didn't notice that until now. That looks familiar. Anyhow, I'll back up. The Circle started in September of 2014, and it actually is a partnership discipleship ministry. And that partnership is actually Salvation Army, St. Vincent de Paul, and Connellsville Area Christian Ministries. And those three ministries actually came together to start Circles. And before we started Circles, we were already working together in Connellsville to serve folks. Often someone will come to one of those ministries and ask us for something that we don't have the resources to provide. But together we can actually group our resources together and help someone through a difficult time. So Circles, we saw that as a way to actually help folks to have a better life. And I don't know how familiar you are with Circles, but you're going to be more familiar by the time I finish today. Circles is actually a process to find folks who are struggling in poverty and to move them to a place that poverty doesn't exist. And we see Circles as a bridge, and a bridge moves them from crisis to a place where that crisis doesn't exist anymore. Now, I have found over almost the past 3 years of doing this that you definitely cannot microwave that process. That is definitely definitely a crock pot, and it is a real slow cooker. And it takes some time. And that process happens through finding folks who want to change their lives, and then also finding people who can help them with that. So what we do is take people that are in poverty situations, and we find people who are what we call, in circles terms, an ally or a mentor. These folks that are allies and mentors are middle to upper income. They're working. They don't have to have life all figured out, because none of us really do. We only fool ourselves if we think we do. They kind of are doing okay. They're making ends meet, and they're making a fairly decent life for themselves. But through a process, we actually mentor the folks that are struggling and hoping to get them to a place where they no longer need support from government agencies or support from ministries or other support pieces that are in the community. The goal is to actually help them to thrive and not just to survive. Now, this process starts first with the folks that are in poverty. We call them leaders because they're leading themselves or leading their families out of poverty. They go through a 12 to 15-week training that actually teaches them what's going to be happening when they are matched up with a mentor. And during that 12 to 15 weeks, they actually set goals for themselves, and they work through a process to learn about maybe they need to change something in their life. Maybe they need to go back to school and get an education. Possibly they need to get a GED. Possibly they aren't employed, and maybe they need employment, or maybe they need a better job, or maybe they have the resources, but they just haven't been able to manage them. But they set goals during that 12 to 15 weeks. Now, following that goal-setting period, they are matched up with that ally. And that relationship with the ally goes on for at least, if not longer, at least 18 months. So, folks, I can tell you that's not a microwave. 18 months is a year and a half. It takes some time to do that. And through that process, we are trying to help them to unlearn bad habits that they have learned. And a little history, and I'm going to share some knowledge with you that I have learned. I've been at Community Ministries almost 4 years now. And when I started back in June of 2013, and I'm originally from Fayette County. I grew up in Mill Run. I lived in Newstand for about 10 years, and I'm back in Connellsville here now. Most of my life has been living in Fayette County. And I really thought I had a good understanding of what poverty was like in Fayette County. I thought I knew what was happening. I'm here to tell you I had quite an education in the past 4 years. Number one, I didn't realize so many people were struggling. And I heard the term generational poverty, but I really didn't understand it until I was in this position that I am now. And I see it happening on a daily basis now. Families, and many of you know families, and this may have been it is a situation for them where generation after generation they continue to struggle, and they're just not able to break that struggle. And that is what Circles is trying to break that cycle. And we feel that if we break it in a generation, that the future generations will have a better life because of leaving those bad habits and those old symptoms of generational poverty, leaving those behind. So that's what the allies are working to do. Now, there's a situational poverty, too, that's caused by a situation. The flood that we had in August is something that could cause someone who may not have been in poverty all of a sudden to be experiencing a poverty situation. A sickness in a family can cause situational poverty. Possibly the loss of a job can cause someone to go to a situation. Situational poverty is easier to cure than generational poverty because you don't have that long history. So currently we have 6 families that are going to be graduating on May the 25th. They're going to be matched up with allies. So they're going through and just finishing out that 12 to 15 weeks of training. And we have other families that have been through it too, but currently we have 6 that are working through that. Now, there's some things that we've learned through Circles. This disciple-making process requires you to spend time with folks. And during that time, you learn things. They learn things about us, and we learn things about them. But here's some things that I have learned. Just because it's normal for me doesn't mean it's normal for someone else. And I have learned that I can be very judgmental at times because I think the way that I was raised is the way that everyone was raised and the same thoughts that everyone has. I'm here to tell you that's not the truth. Many of you know that. If I was raised the way some of our clients were raised, I probably would have not have turned out any different than what they are. So for me to think that I have like to hand up on them, I just was blessed differently. And I'm thankful for that. But I need to understand, and we need to understand, that that's kind of a way of life for them. It's hard for them to break that. I also realized that if employment is the key to success. Thanks for the water, Elsie, because I need it. If employment is the key to success, and we have found that through circles, if you're not willing to be employed, we can't help you. Not the circles anyhow. Because having a paycheck is the way to get out of poverty. Now there are situations where folks are elderly or handicapped, and we realize that employment probably isn't a possibility. But if you're able to work, we know through going through this, that's the only way that we can help you. A lot of our families that we're working with, SSI is actually a way for them to live. And on SSI, you get $742 a month. And I don't care how good you are at budgeting, but you cannot live on $742 a month. So if I can't increase your income, there's no way I can help you to get to a better life. And that's a reality of what we have faced. We have seen some success stories, and one of those I want to tell you a little bit about today. I don't want to take you past lunch because I know you're really getting cranky if I go past lunch. And I hear lunch is waiting downstairs. That's a good thing. Now, one of our success stories that we have is a gentleman who came to the ministry. He was almost 50 years old when I met him. And he was our first leader in circles, first one that was helping to lead himself out of poverty. He was a single man. He had a son, but he did not have custody of his son. And when he came to Community Ministries, he was homeless, he was out of a job, and he was in trouble. And we were able to actually make him part of the circles process. And through a crock pot process, today he is actually employed. He has his own apartment, he has a car, he has a 401k, he has health insurance. Now, those are good things. Those are all good things. And those of us that have those are thankful, and those of us that don't have them wish we did, because we know that those are things that help us to get through life. Now, he came from a life of generational poverty. He was wise enough, he actually told me this. He said, I had to leave some people behind in order for me to move forward, because some of my friends and some of my family were actually serving as an anchor, and they were holding me back, but I couldn't move forward. And that's a hard thing for folks to give up friends and family. But he realized that in order for him to move forward. But the healthy thing is circles actually provided him with new friends and kind of like a new family. And there was a support group there for him that was a positive group. And so we have seen success there. When we first started Circles, Community Ministries, Salvation Army, St. Vincent de Paul, all thought we already had a bunch of people that we could help because we had this whole list of clients that we've been helping. We found out real early that the folks that we were helping day to day weren't the best Circles candidates because they had so much crisis in their life that they needed to get a lot of those things under control before we could really move them on to being more successful. So that was a hard lesson for us because we thought we had a lot of people that we could help do that. It requires more work at a time before they're ready to move on with Circles. But for those that are ready to move on, it is very, very successful. And we have seen other success stories with this too. So you might ask, well, how is Circles a discipleship-making tool? Well, one of the things, if you remember, I talked about Jesus spending time with his disciples. Circles, we spend time with the folks that are working through that process too. We meet every Thursday, actually at the Christian church, which is right across from the library. Every Thursday at 5:30 we have a meeting. We start that meeting out with a meal every week. And during that time, we actually talk. There's fellowship that happens during that time. And that's a good time to get to learn about folks. We actually, you learn, they get an opportunity to share their struggles. They have an opportunity to talk about things that may have been not good things in that week too. They actually have someone there that cares. They actually have a listening ear. And there are healthy relationships I mentioned about having to move on because sometimes people are holding your back. Circles actually provides them with positive relationships. We start every Circles meeting with, believe it or not, we get in a circle. Could you imagine that? Circles actually gets in a circle. We get in a circle after we eat, and we actually go around the circle and everyone shares something new or good that has happened to them in that week. So many times we focus on the negative things, and our goal there is to start the meeting out with something positive. If you think hard enough, something positive has happened in your week, even if it's been an awful week. There has been something positive. So we start the meeting out with that, and we end each meeting with what we call appreciations, where we go around the room and you appreciate the person beside you. Now sometimes that appreciation is, I'm glad your shoes match. I appreciate the fact that you have matching shoes. But sometimes it's really a powerful appreciation. Maybe someone has encouraged someone that night, or maybe during the week the leader and the ally have worked through a difficult task. And those things come out too, and those things are shared. It's neat to see that happen. So Circles is a disciple-making tool because we spend time together, we learn about each other, we're helping. And it's the church at work, outside, even though we meet in a church, it's a church at work outside the church, and we're represented by multiple churches there. And really to see the hands and feet of Jesus Christ at work, Circles is not typically a religious organization, but because the three ministries that brought us to Connellsville are religious organizations, we are not shy about talking about Jesus Christ and the power of Jesus Christ's blood and the power of forgiveness and talking about being a Christian. We encourage those folks to go to churches too. And we work, and many of them, because of our relationship in Circles, have started going to church. And there's another situation where they can find healthy relationships as they come into different congregations and be part of that. So Circles is one of our ministries, but as you know, we have many ministries across our community ministries. I want to talk a little bit about, for the next few minutes, just to kind of give you an idea of how we are serving the Connellsville area. Now, the name of the ministry is Connellsville Area Christian Ministries, and that area represents the school district. We actually serve the whole Connellsville Area School District. Some people think because we're located in Connellsville, that we only serve just Connellsville. That's not the case. This is our 43rd year. We started in 1974, so we're getting old. That's how much we're getting old. We are now down in what I call the McCroysville on Crawford Avenue, as opposed to up in the community center. That has really helped the ministry to grow. I thank you for your help. This church supports the ministry. You provide food to us. You provide financial donations. Some of your folks are volunteers that help. Some of your folks are staff. Doug serves on our staff down there. I appreciate this church's connection to us and the help that you provide to us. Here's a little overview. Now, I don't like to concentrate on numbers because numbers are just numbers, but as I talk about this, I hope that you'll picture in your mind that these numbers represent people, and they represent lives, and they represent folks that come to us in crisis, and then this help, this number represents us being a bridge to help get them out of that crisis. Our largest ministry is our food pantry, and last year in 2016, we actually served 4,626 food boxes over the year. So we're right now serving around 400 families a month. In November and December, that goes up to around 600 families. So we've touched the most people with that ministry. We have a crisis ministry where we help folks through difficult times, whether it be paying the utility because of a termination notice, helping to pay rent because of an eviction notice, helping to make a car repair because they don't have a car to get to work or to medical appointments. But 118 different occasions last year we were able to help folks. And that benefited 188 adults and 172 children. And the investment to do that was about $17,000. And those are the areas where we actually need money to do things. I haven't figured a way out for me to convince West Penn Power that I'll send you a bag of clothing in return for a $100 West Penn bill. That doesn't work, folks. So when we ask for donations, that's the kind of thing that we actually use the donations for. We actually distributed over 500 winter coats between November and December through our food pantry. We were able to buy coats, and those coats were donated from a lot of organizations. Bible Catholic High School actually collects coats through the Catholic churches, and we get a lot of them through them. The Chamber of Commerce in Connellsville provides us with kids' coats, other churches and individuals, and then as we receive other coats in, we use those to distribute to folks, and people are really pleased to get them. You may remember the United Methodist Men used to have a medical equipment ministry that was up in the community center. That ministry moved with us when we moved down to our current location. We brought that medical equipment ministry with us, and the ministry now operates that. And last year, we distributed 200 different pieces of medical equipment. We also assisted 376 families with in-kind donations. That's anything from food, to clothing, to furniture, to appliances, to baby needs. Our thrift store actually serves two purposes. One is it helps us to meet needs as people need clothing. But the other part is it actually is a funding source for the ministry. We actually have a budget of a little over $300,000 it takes to operate the ministry. And a third of that, $100,000, comes from the sales in that thrift store. So that's an important part of our process down there. The other a third comes from donations. We actually have a campaign every year where we collect $100,000, and the last third comes from us writing grants or just miscellaneous donations that come in. We have a new ministry this year that last year started. We had no idea we were going to get into it. It's called Flood Recovery. And we were kind of thrust into the flood recovery because of the flood on August 28th. Many of you know there were about 300 homes that were impacted by that. Some folks here at this congregation were impacted by that. And the ministry was asked to collect the money for that recovery process. A couple reasons. One is we are a 501c3, so if people donated to us, those donations would be tax deductible to the donor. The second reason is we represented the three